6:30 in the morning. The sun hasn't risen yet on the Cape of Wild Animals, but the employees at the Umkondo Game Reserve have to rise with the larks, or the buffaloes, or the elephants. Umkondo's elephant bulls, Moya and Salati, spend every night indoors, and every day starts with some exercise. Reserve manager Hein Schumann explains the daily training program to Claudia Kaiser, a vet from Rüsselsheim near Frankfurt. She's traveling through Africa for a year to support various animal conservation projects. She's been in Umkondo for a week.
I'm with the elephants for the first time this morning. I don't know them at all yet, and Hein is telling me we're doing some elephant training. He always does clicker training. That means you teach them a certain behavior and reward them with this clicker noise and food.
Obedient elephants don't just make handling easier, they also allow vet visits, hence the clicker training.
That's the clicker, and when they behave as you want them to, then you press it and give them a reward after that.
Things are easier with rewards.
Moya's going to work now. Okay.
Back up. Back up. Back up. What are you doing? This one?
Back up 2 steps.
Yeah. Back up.
To be able to do something is one thing, to want to do it another. But those who don't listen don't get treats, says Hein.
Moya's trying to impress me and is trying to do everything at once, but not the right thing.
Nur nicht das Richtige. Moya? Head shake. Moya, head shake.
And Moya shakes his head.
Good boy.
Click.
Oh, I forgot.
But Claudia forgot to click.
Wenn jetzt zum Beispiel mal ein Draht.
If they've got wire round their leg or need any other sort of medical attention, then you don't have to sedate them immediately.
Dann muss man sie eben nicht gleich in Narkose legen, sondern man kann versuchen,
You can try and treat them using their trained behavior.
das zu behandeln. Salati, back up. Back up. Back up.
Salati's the dominant bull and doesn't like being told what to do.
Deeper and loud voice.
I should try using a deeper voice and talk a bit louder. Otherwise, he doesn't take me seriously.
Ich mich nicht für voll. Salati, back up. Back up.
Nice teeth, but that wasn't what Salati was supposed to show.
Salati, back up. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Back up, my boy.
Hein's authority isn't impressing Salati either. It's not working. Neither with Salati
Moya, back up 2 steps. Back up 2 steps. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
nor with Moya. Elephants are definitely more stubborn.
Moya, high five. High five. This one.
Just slap it on the bottom.
But after a few teething problems, it's working after all.
We left out a few things so he isn't rewarded all the time. Otherwise, he gets addicted to the food. He'd get something every time, so we skip it every third or fourth or fifth time.
I think, Claudia, you did a good
Hein thinks it worked all right for a start. Trust is the foundation of working with animals.
Hein is thrilled. Me too. It went well. We'll try again during the next few days, and then I think the trust will be there.
Glaube ich, ist das Vertrauen auch einfach da.
The lessons for today finish on a positive note, and vet Claudia has learned something about elephants. Hein lets the elephants out. From sunrise to sunset, the two are allowed to wander around the reserve and eat anything their trunks encounter. Monkeyland is a refuge for apes and monkeys of the world. From Central American howler monkeys to Asian white-bearded gibbons, they all live peaceably together. Or rather, nearly all. Gibbons can be quite nasty. That's why some of them have to live separately, so they don't disturb the peace. Monkeyland boss Dominique Winkel and animal keeper Julia Ganz from Hamburg are on their way to one such isolation compound. Their next job should be easy, if it weren't for the gibbons, who aren't nice to humans either.
There's a branch quite close to the fence. We have to cut it back. The problem with the two gibbons is they're kept completely separate because they're too aggressive. So we can't go in with them either. They take us apart. So we have to lock them up. That's always a bit problematic. I don't lock them up without reason. They go in here to eat, but it's a different story, as you can see, if you stand here, especially at the sliding door. They know what the door does, and they don't want to go away. We'll see how it goes. As we have you with us, we'll use you as a gibbon.
Ja, genau.
Yes, of course. I always look like I behave. Maybe the gibbons will believe me. Shall we try?
Wollen wir mal versuchen?
Let's try.
Using Julia as gibbon bait, Dominique is hoping it'll be easier to lock away the gibbons. But they're not stupid.
Und wenn du einfach
And
gar
if you're
nicht
just
da
not
bist?
here?
It doesn't matter if it's me standing here touching the clip or you. They know exactly what it does. You can hear it. Look at the gate.
Yes, I've seen.
Hab schon gesehen.
As soon as you touch it, it goes up a bit.
Okay. Das sind super intelligente.
They're very clever animals and very strong, which, as a non-expert, isn't immediately obvious from their build. They look so small with their long arms swinging around.
Die sehen so klein aus.
But if you compare their efforts with what we can do, then you can see their strength.
Auf uns bezogen.
They can pull themselves up with just one arm. I can't even do it with two. So it makes sense. They're adapted to a different kind of life, in the trees. You can see that by their long extremities. I have a lot of respect for them. And you don't see their teeth very often, but you have to take them seriously.
Next attempt, bribery.
Ich habe einen Stift.
Look, I've got a pen. We can swap. You come in, and you get the pen.
Du, warte aus.
Dumb exchange, he says.
All that to saw a branch, but otherwise the gibbons might escape.
How clever you are.
Clever ihr seid, hä?
In the bay off Cape Town lies Robben Island, a former prison island on which Nelson Mandela was held for 18 years. In the mid-90s, the island was declared a national memorial and a nature reserve. As well as the museum in the former prison, Robben Island is home to one of the last colonies of African penguin. In order to save the species from extinction, scientists, such as Katrin Ludinia, are studying the breeding behavior of the birds as part of a long-term project. Zookeeper Patrick Heinrich from Hamburg wants to help and learn. He's spending 3 months in South Africa.
I have a whole list of nests on my piece of paper. There should be eggs or chicks in them now. A few could be empty because the parents have deserted the eggs, or because the chicks have hatched or fledged. So we'll look at them all and see what's in the nests.
It's different from zoo penguins, as the nests are quite hidden here. Birds in the wild like doing that. So we'll see how successful we are to find these nests. But thankfully, they're all marked. So it'll hopefully be successful.
Leper Colony Military Base Prison, Robben Island offers penguins historically significant breeding areas.
Let's see. Nobody home. Let's look behind the boards. They like to hide.
But even rubble can serve as a suitable hiding place for the penguin's precious offspring.
Too far back. I think the nest we're looking for is behind this building. Just wanted to check if anyone's here.
Just moved in?
Without a list of nest sites, Katrin and Patrick would be completely stuck.
The next nest is in this pile. Let's see, 15, 14, yes, that's the next.
Which penguin is breeding where, with whom, and has how many eggs? Are the chicks getting enough food? Katrin's gathering these data as they provide a picture for the whole colony.
I'll try to lift the bird using this stick to see if there are any eggs. It's sitting on 2 eggs. We'll make a note of that. We have pictures of the birds that were seen on this nest last time. African penguins are individually identifiable. They all look the same to most people, all black and white. But they have little markings, a dot here, a dot there. I'm trying to see if this is the same bird as last time. Often the birds will return to the same nests. 2 birds were seen earlier in the year on eggs. Presumably, they lost those eggs and are trying again. It would be interesting to know whether these are those birds or others. It's not easy to see as the photos aren't great. I think this might be this bird. It's hard to say as he's sitting so far back. But what would you say about the right cheek?
There's no mark there.
A bit like telling 101 Dalmatians apart.
I haven't got the practice. That was quite difficult. It takes a while to be able to tell them apart.
The next nest is in the nest box in one of these small wooden houses.
No quick results here. A more positive trend would be welcomed.
Nestboxen sind nummeriert.
Apart from the game park area with free-ranging inhabitants, Umkondo also has a sanctuary for injured, sick or orphaned animals. 2 wild cats and a caracal live here. They arrived as babies. Now they're nearly fully grown, and the nursery isn't offering enough distractions anymore. Game Warden Liesel van den Berg holds crisis talks with Claudia Kaiser, Ben Kruse and Lena Kleiner. The aim? Fun, games and distractions for the cats.
We're gathering lots of wood, branches and so on to build something for the wildcats to play with, down by Hein and Kim's house. They're meant to be released back into the wild. So things like hiding places, scratching posts and small branches on which they can run up are really important, so that they can get used to them for their life in the wild.
Happy DIYing. The bad news? No DIY stories available anywhere. There's a lack of materials in the game reserve. Though they've been here for weeks now, the 3 volunteers are still impressed by how close one can get to the wild animals.
We'll drive to the woods and see what we find.
But there are hippos there, no? I've heard hippos are dangerous, so I don't want to go gathering wood there. So you'll do that, right?
You don't joke with hippos. They look relaxed and languorous, but they defend their territory very aggressively. Liesel detours away from the 2 heavyweights.
That one looks good.
We can take this one and that one.
Oh yes, great.
Let's try and saw it off. Look, someone else has been here.
Woodworm.
Bark off.
Oh, something's living there.
Oh, look, frogs. Are those the ones we hear at night?
So this tree isn't suitable. Reed frogs aren't a threatened species, but one still shouldn't cut their homes from beneath them.
We won't fell that tree because of the frogs. We want to maintain the frogs' habitat.
There'll be another tree somewhere. This activity is the sort of thing Ben likes.
I've
been in Africa for a year doing various projects, always with animals. After 13 years in a job, I thought, now is the time for a break. It's nice to do something completely different. No telephone, no emails. To be with nature, with wild animals. That's exactly what I imagined.
Genau das, wie ich mir vorgestellt habe. Schön.
Ben's experience as project manager helps even whilst gathering wood.
1, 2, 3.
The work on the reserve is often physically demanding for the volunteers from Germany, but it's for a good cause.
Den wollen wir so ins Gehege reinstellen.
We want to put it into the enclosure so that cats can climb up it. And the other two we found, we want to sit against it or around it, so they can jump from one to the other and get to their sleeping places afterwards. We want to put those a bit higher, and this tree is perfect.
Baum, glaube ich, ganz gut.
The hippos never noticed a thing. Hundreds of monkeys are swinging in the branches here. In the protected forest of Monkeyland, the animals can move freely. This makes it even harder to lock two monkeys away into an enclosure temporarily. Dominique and Julia have been trying for over an hour. The primate's tricks aren't entirely new to the animal keeper from Hamburg. Monkeys are her favourite animals.
Have you considered letting it down when they're next in here?
Doing it now.
So you're in waiting mode. Please come in, you two. That would be a treat.
Animal keeper Julia is the bait. The two gibbons have to be locked up briefly for the tree surgery, and manager Dominique is in action.
Super, hat funktioniert.
It worked. I'll go in quickly to see if we have anything yummy. A few nuts or dried fruits, so they have a bit of positive feedback with the gate down. Take care, don't go too close. They grab.
Nur halt wieder ein bisschen aufpassen, nicht zu nah ran, weil die grapschen.
Madame, you're very aggressive. That's for your friend. Come on, let's go.
The two gibbons were outsmarted. Now the actual work can start. Dominique works fast. He's requisitioned 2 helpers so the works go on apace.
We're going into the enclosure of the 2 gibbons who are kept separately because they don't get on with the others and are also not very nice to visitors. They've got this high fence here, so the trees have to be cut back regularly. Luckily, we managed to get the monkeys indoors. There are several trees near the fence, and as they can swing and jump very well, we have to see which ones we have to trim a bit.
There's no need to run away from Monkeyland, but no one explained the concept of boundaries to the inhabitants. Before one of the monkeys swings its way to the nearest main road, the employees take precautionary action.
Look at that big branch. It's quite close to the fence. So we'll cut that back a bit. That's a bit problematic, because if we cut it right at the bottom, then it's off, but it falls against the fence. Then either the fence is broken or the branch is hanging in the fence.
So they could still get out.
Yes, it would be like a ladder.
I think I'll go over.
Watch out for thorns.
Okay. Guys, can I help you?
A workplace with a view, but it's no more comfy at ground level.
Now I know what Dominique meant with the thorns. They're not funny. They have tiny ones to huge ones. I'm being scratched everywhere, especially on my legs. But that's okay for 10 minutes. Dominic, where's my hard hat?
Was für ein Baustellen?
What hard hat? You've got a hat.
Du hast so eine Mütze auf.
Huh?
Du hast so eine
Yes, my protective hat.
Genau, meine Schutzmütze.
The thick branch could have been used as an escape route for an entire nation. Not anymore.
Okay, da kommt er noch dran.
Okay.
And that was that.
We can go now. We leave the branch where it fell. It's not leaning against the fence or anything.
I was going to say it's doing no harm. No springboard to the outside.
Back to the enclosure. The gibbons shouldn't remain in their cage for longer than necessary. As nearly all inhabitants of Monkeyland were freed from cages, every one of them has experience of one.
Dann lassen wir die mal wieder raus.
We'll let them out because they're not very happy in here. So it's causing them stress. We'll let them out quickly.
Zack, zack, lassen die raus. Hey, here we go.
That went okay,
Genau,
right?
war jetzt eigentlich ganz gut geklappt, oder?
Ja, generell.
Yes, that went well. That was it. Let's open the other side too. And then,
Peace and quiet here.
Ist erstmal Ruhe hier für heute.
yes, we'll leave them alone.
That's the best thing. Robben Island in the Atlantic offers a spectacular view of Cape Town's Table Mountain. Penguin Island would be a more fitting title. They were sighted here over 500 years ago. The once infamous prison island is now a national memorial and a nature reserve. Since then, apart from tourists, it's mainly scientists such as Katrin that come, trying to save the last of the African penguins. This specimen considers itself more annoyed than saved.
She's got at least one small chick. Yes, a small chick.
Ja, ein kleines Küken.
Let's move away a little because she's very nervous and wants to defend her chick.
Weil sie seinen Küken verteidigen will.
Can't blame her.
Also der scheint nur ein Ei gelegt zu haben. Und da
She only appears to have laid one egg, a tiny chick. It's so small it's lying on the ground under the adult birds and has its eyes closed. Just a few days old. So we won't disturb them any longer, but I've written down that it's got a little chick, and we'll leave it in peace.
kleines Küken hat und dann lassen wir den jetzt in Ruhe.
Okay.
Such data, gathered over the years, enable the penguin researchers to recognize any upward or downward trend.
Also die waren letztes Mal noch
Last time they were P3, so still had their downy feathers. But now they're looking good.
aus der
One of them still has a few downy feathers. The one on the right will go to sea soon. It looks ready to go. The other is lagging a bit. But they look well fed.
hinterher.
It's a good sign that we're finding such big chicks in the colony. So they'll hopefully survive when they go to
Die
sea.
dann hoffentlich überleben, wenn sie auf See gehen.
Patrick can learn a lot from Katrin. The zookeeper so far only knew about penguins from the zoo in Hamburg.
Someone's making themselves heard.
Easy to find when they're screaming like that. They're begging for food.
In dem Nest sitzen jetzt gerade zwei kleine Küken, die sind
There are
einfach so
two
klein,
small
dass sie
chicks in that
eben
nest. They're so small, one parent is always, or nearly always, there to warm them. I don't know if the adult bird is mum or dad. It's also keeping watch. It's watching us closely to see what we're doing. Nice to see them raising young so well.
Dass das da so gut funktioniert mit der Aufzucht.
Der Partner ist jetzt halt auf See.
The partner is out at sea and will return tonight, and then the chicks will be fed tonight. And the adult that was on the nest today will go to sea tomorrow and will bring supper home tomorrow. They take turns whilst the chicks are so small. Very nice.
Sehr schön.
In the last 100 years, the population of African penguins has declined by 95%. Today, there are only an estimated 20,000 left. Habitat loss, pollution and overfishing are causing problems for the birds.
When we see the animals having a good year raising many chicks, then of course we're hopeful that numbers will increase. But we're also doing things to help them increase.
So, dass wir natürlich schauen, was wir tun können.
We're in discussions with the fishing industry to lower the quotas. Another project is to make these nest boxes so the birds have a better breeding habitat. So there are different things where we as people are trying to help the penguins and increase their numbers.
Ihnen zu helfen, halt die Zahlen wieder hochgehen zu lassen.
Despite small glimmers of hope, the work by the scientists is a drop in the ocean. Experts fear that the African penguin will go extinct in the next 20 years. Then all we'll be able to admire off the island will be oil tankers. The people in the Umkondo Reserve, with its 3,000 hectares, have dedicated themselves to animal and nature conservation. Their efforts often resemble a fight. In the sanctuary, sensitivity and creativity are required from the volunteers from around the world. The caracal and his roommates are to get a more interesting enclosure, so the DIY team have gathered more wood. The animals are irritated by the engine noise, and that's only the start of the carpentry project.
Nee.
Das wird jetzt die Plattform, die wir
This will
oben
be
auf
the
den großen
platform that we'll nail to the tree, so the cats can run up the tree and lie down on the platform.
hinlegen können. So, jetzt müsste ich vorbei sein, oder?
Ja.
Sehr gut, gut aufgepasst.
Animals that live in enclosures need enough entertainment and an appropriate compound design to stay mentally healthy. The volunteers build some cat-friendly furniture using basic means.
We're trying to modify the large tree trunk a bit so it can become a sleeping tree, so the animals can lie down in it. And on the top, we'll put a platform. So theoretically, there are now 3 sleeping places.
Reserve manager Hein must of course check all is well.
Very nice.
Megan Dreyer explains to her cousin what sort of a luxury apartment's being built.
Yeah, it's sleeping for the 2 wildcats.
Okay.
Hein had a look at it, and I think he's impressed.
Right? You like it?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit sick.
Hein likes it, but whether the cats do remains to be seen. They're certainly curious. The new scratching, sleeping and climbing post may be a versatile marvel of engineering, but it also weighs 100 hundredweight. The wild cats and caracals are not used to such a bustle.
Wir haben jetzt 2 Probleme.
We've got 2
Der Baum ist
problems.
extrem schwer.
The tree is very heavy,
Zweites ist,
and the cats are very
dass die
nervous at
Katzen
the
sehr, sehr
moment
nervös werden
because they
gerade.
realize
Weil sie
we're
natürlich
doing something with them,
sie
but
gerade
they
mitkriegen,
don't
dass
know
wir
what.
draußen irgendwas machen und sie wissen nicht
So
was.
we've got
Deswegen
limited
ist das ein
time.
Zeitproblem, das wir jetzt haben. Wir müssen gucken, dass wir jetzt
We have to have an idea as quickly as possible and find a solution.
gemeinsam zu lösen.
As soon as someone opened this door, the wildcats would be out in a flash. That mustn't happen. There are more than 600 game reserves in South Africa. Famous ones like the Kruger National Park, recent ones like Umkondo on the Cape of Wild Animals in the south of the country. Even so, not every South African has seen an elephant or a zebra. These children are from a nearby school and they're here for the first time. 28-year-old Christiana Hagen will accompany them on their safari. She's a vet from Lower Saxony in Germany, and she's been helping out in Umkondo for a few weeks now to continue her training. Today, others are learning from her.
We invited the children to show them the reserve and the wild animals, to bring them closer to them and explain a few things. They've never had the opportunity before to see such big animals, and maybe they enjoy having this opportunity.
For the students, aged between 10 and 12, the ride in the open jeep is an adventure. Christiana wants to know which animals they're most looking forward to.
Elephant? Cheetah? Okay. Perhaps we can see him. We don't know. If you see any animal, you cry and say, stop.
Elephants and cheetahs are top of the list. Christiana says they're to scream stop when they want to take a closer look at an animal. And then there's lots to see for Trixie and Malusha, William, Sean and Alwyn.
You can see it with the big horn.
The animals seem to have prepared for the visit and are visible. The children seem to have picked the right day.
There, you can see the hippo. They lay over there. Can you see that? There? Yeah, they lay in the sun.
Even the hippos haven't submerged.
So big and so huge. So fat.
We're very lucky to see both hippos on land. That's great because normally they're in the water and only out at night when they're grazing. So it's great that they're showing themselves to the children.
Für die Kinder, dann können die das halt alles sehen. It's a great one, huh? The other one is also looking to us.
The 5 children live in town. And just as there are no wolves stalking through Berlin or Hamburg, there are no giraffes in South African towns. As the students come from poor backgrounds, they can't afford a visit to a national park.
Hi, Skylar. How are you?
To be eye to eye with a cheetah is as exciting to them as for a German child.
Hi, Skylar. Yeah.
Christiane explains to the students that cheetahs wear sunglasses by nature's design.
The cheetah has a few special features, such as these black stripes in its face. Because they hunt during the day, they absorb the sun, so they can see very well when they're out and about.
Skylar is always worth a visit, but Christiane has more surprises in store for the children.
So, have a look to the elephant. There, on the way. Oh, that's near, huh? So close to us.
Peaceful as it appears on the Umkondo Reserve, the conservationists' work is full of challenges. The situation is getting heated in the sanctuary. 3 cats are waiting for their new furniture. It's been built,
Okay, let's go in quickly because they're getting a bit agitated. I don't want to wait for too long.
The question is, how will they get their construction into the compound? And how will the helpers get out again? Game Warden Liesel bribes the animals with some meat. The distraction was necessary. Nobody wants such furious teeth in their leg. Armed with the morsels of meat, Liesel clears a path for the others.
Okay, I do not have a lot of meat left. We need to get this thing. Open the door.
Liesel's asked them to hurry up, as she doesn't have much meat. But it's not easy with this monster, and they have to be careful that none of the cats get out. Pure adrenaline.
Shit, wow, that was stressful.
Ben and Co. can be proud of themselves.
That worked well. We're in now. Liesel distracted the cats very well. Now we'll put in a few wood chippings, so the cats can lie down in it. We should fix this here at the top, so we need some string or rope to tie it. She's already showing an interest.
The acute feeding frenzy is over. The cats have calmed down. Now their proverbial curiosity is becoming apparent.
Good.
Look, the first inhabitant. Great.
Super.
The second piece of furniture is missing, a cave for the caracal. And if he wasn't so keen to get out, then the cave could be brought in. Success at last.
We'll pack some wood chippings into the house here, so it's a bit softer.
Wait, you're pouring it on his head.
So someone's in already.
The wood chips are the final touch of comfort.
Yeah.
Looking great. Well done.
Just like the outside bit. I was only in quickly, but you did well.
It looks good from inside, too.
Great job.
Now we need to watch the animals to see if they like it.
Yes, they've been in. Let's go out so they can play.
All right, enjoy. Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Wow.
The first cat has gone into the house already and accepted it immediately. We have to watch now for half an hour how they like it. But they are looking curious. I think it'll be a great thing.
Something to climb in, scratch and relax in. The cats immediately appear more relaxed. And when they've all sorted out their favourite spaces, then this will be a show home. East of Umkondo, about 3 hours drive away, is another reserve, in which there are mainly monkeys. This makes Monkeyland unique. Only here can primates move around freely, no matter what species. Feeding 600 monkeys requires vast amounts of fruit and veg, and much work by the staff. It's midday, and manager Dominique is receiving the new delivery.
Hi.
Julia is a zookeeper in Hamburg and wants to train in the South African game reserves. Monkeys are her favourite animals, and from her job, she knows her way around food preparation areas.
This is the weekly fruit and veg delivery, so we can fill the cold store. We have onions and chard and papayas and a few eggs. I can see it's not just veg that we're restocking.
The animals eat 300 kilograms of food a day. As the limited woodland area in the reserve doesn't provide enough food for them all, the conservationists have to supplementary feed them.
You can see we also feed them bread. We don't just chuck in a huge loaf, but we break it up, so everybody gets some.
So they're manageable chunks.
That's right. What you can see here is all monkey food. The white is maize meal. That cooked stuff is sweet potato. Apples in there too.
They have fruit, veg, a bit of bread, the potato and that stuff.
Exactly. Normally, the hotter it is, the more they eat. As you can see, there are a lot of tangerines. They're nice and juicy. When it's hot, they take one into their mouth, chew it, drink the juice, and spit the hard bit out again.
I would have thought things like bread would go first.
It depends on the species. Capuchins, for example, always take things with lots of starch, like bread. Depending on what we feed them, at the moment it's pap, maize meal. They'll go for that first tomorrow.
What time will you feed tomorrow?
4:30 in the morning.
So if I manage to get up that early, I could do the feeding? I'd like to see that. You know? Could I? That would be great. I'm finished now. I've done my duty. Do we leave that there?
Yes, we can leave that there. We'll take this and throw it away. The girls will share that out.
The preparations for the daily feed are done. The inhabitants now can sleep until breakfast time, like every day in Monkeyland's monkey paradise. Umkondo was brought to life not only to protect animals and nature, but also to instill a sense of environmental awareness in the population. Christiana the vet is thus on an educational mission. The safari tour with the school children is stopping off with Moya and Salati. The mother of two from Lower Saxony is imparting her knowledge to the children by means of an elephant quiz.
What do you think? How much will we drink an elephant?
Even though these are native animals, none of the children has ever seen an elephant. But honestly, how many urban children in Germany would know a chaffinch or a slowworm?
200. They will drink every day.
I asked them how much they thought an elephant would drink. They started with 2, 3, 4 liters, and I always said more, more. And they couldn't believe it, so I told them an elephant drinks 200 liters a day.
200 Liter pro Tag sind. And you can see with a grab.
The five can watch how nimble the elephants are with their trunks. 40,000 muscles running up and across make it so flexible.
It's nice to so close to the elephant, huh? Oh, I want to go, I want to go. Say goodbye to the elephant.
A wave goodbye, and then on to the next animal.
Have a look. 2 giraffes in front of us.
Giraffes mustn't be missed on any tour through the reserve. South Africa's animal world is remarkably diverse. There are 250 species of land mammals alone. Park employee Nick Steen is giving the children a lecture in natural history.
It's bold on the top.
We're lucky enough to see these 2 giraffes, and we talked about it with the children. And we're all wondering how many neck vertebrae they have. We ended up with 7, just like human beings. And then Nick explained how to distinguish between male and female. The female's horns have more hair on them, so that's how you can tell the females apart.
Ganz interessant.
The children remember every detail to tell at home. They don't own cameras, as their parents can't afford them. But that doesn't spoil their mood. That's the end of the safari tour.
Super, hier.
In the end, Christiana wants to know what animal was their favorite. Cheetah, elephant, giraffe? The children can't decide.
Cheetah? Elephant. The elephant? And the giraffe?
They're a bit lost for words, really impressed. At first they liked the cheetah the most, but then the elephant was back on top. All different, but I think they're happy. We sang on the way back. That was great. It was lovely, really nice.
They sing a song to say thank you.
Bye-bye dankie vir die lekker dag. Ons sê bye-bye dankie, ons sê bye-bye dankie, ons sê bye-bye dankie vir die lekker dag.
Thank you.
In order to conserve the flora and fauna of the South African Western Cape, Umkhondo is gradually being transformed into an independent ecosystem. Many volunteers are needed for this. In the late afternoon, the expert reinforcements arrive. Sebastian Behrens and Dave Nelder from Hamburg.
I think we're here.
We're here.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome, welcome.
The 2 keepers have a 15-hour flight behind them, but they're ready to get cracking.
I'm in Africa for the first time and the weather's been great so far. We want to see lots of animals. We've seen a few on the way here. And look at things. We'll have a look around now.
Tan a bit of colour on the skin. See some animals. I'm curious to see what's in store for us.
First carry the suitcase. Dave and Sebastian have a lot of luggage, just like a woman, says Nick.
Yeah. No.
The zookeepers want to train in Umkhondo and the neighbouring reserves for 7 weeks. At home, the 2 friends specialise in birds and penguins. They also have their own aviary at home.
It's warm, but it's nice. Nice bed and a lamp.
And a nice view.
All one needs, and a view. Not bad.
That's my tent. That's fine. The armchair is perfect. Perfect for looking out, also to rock backwards and forwards. I've got a nice armchair, Sebi.
Great, I don't have such a nice armchair. We can swap tents. Do you have a hyena cushion? Or a wild dog?
Wild dog.
That's good. As long as it's not an animal you're afraid of.
Will you check under my bed before I go to sleep?
The view's nice.
And look what's hanging from the tree. A weaver's nest.
Look at that, a weaver's nest. Like in the aviary at home.
Yes, only they're not so high. Exciting.
Now we have time to watch them.
If it's hanging right in front of our tent, that's cool.
Cool.
Because it's getting dark soon, Dave and Sebastian can only enjoy the view as onlookers. But the helpers' tent village lies in the middle of the reserve, so the view is worth it.
That's our barrier to the wilderness?
Apparently. I hope there aren't any lions here.
Surely not. Look at that wire.
Ja, ist schon etwas speziell, sage ich mal.
The African adventure is tangibly close, but even though the zebras and antelopes are doing their best, Sebastian and Dave still prefer birds.
Are those ostriches?
Yes.
Ja, it's ostrich. Ja.
And there are sacred ibis on the lawn.
Dave knows them all, at least in theory.
I think every animal keeper should travel to the areas where the animals come from, to understand better how they live and what they do there, and what can be done better in the zoo or not. And it's great for us seeing them running around like this. Then you can see what they normally do all day long.
Now it's lights out in Umkondo. The alarm clock will ring early in the morning and they can get close to the animals. Then Dave and Sebastian will be right in the African adventure.